And we are live with another episode of the Keeg Talks. Today, the Keeg Talks Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and the Indiana Jones franchise as a whole. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and if you can see us live, you can see us live on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. And if you're watching us live, you can see who our guests are. But if you're listening to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, you can't see who our guests are. So let me introduce them. We have had both of them on this show before, but a couple months ago and never together. So I'm really excited about this. First, we have Amanda Castrillo. Amanda, how you doing? Amanda just vibing.
Hi, I'm doing good. I am actually, it's sunny outside, which it hasn't been for like a couple of weeks, so I'm glad about that. And I also have a puppy.
You have more than one puppy. You just have one puppy to the side of you.
I just have one puppy. I have two dogs, but one puppy.
Oh, do you differentiate?
Yeah, because she's like, I have to now because now I have two. So I'm just like, this one's the baby, and then the other one is my baby.
That's fair. That's fair. I no matter how old my dogs get, I'm just like, they're puppies. They're babies, you know?
We call Eclipse baby girl Clip, and then Nova is baby Nova. So
Are you the type to keep creating more and more nicknames?
Yes. We've only had Nova for like 2 months, and so far she has become Noba, which is basically just her name with a B instead of a V, and she's become Baby Noba.
Yeah.
And she has become just like a little chaos demon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like basically whatever just like comes out of the mouth first, but she responds to her name, so she's very smart.
My sister, every time like I'm with my sister reveals a new nickname for one of our dogs, and I'm like, you keep creating new names. Stop creating new names. I've never heard of these names at all. Why am I out of the loop? So I get
a clip is Clip. We call her Clip sometimes Clippy, sometimes baby girl Clip, and Bubby, call her Bubby a lot.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, but she knows her name, so it's fine. Like, she doesn't get confused.
Right. As long as they come and they do what you tell them to, or at least try.
Yeah. Except Eclipse is like willfully like, don't eat my headphones. She is willfully just defiant, and like she'll know that I want her to do something, but she will literally just like look at me and then walk away. So
that happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, am I right? Our second guest, who is rounding out this episode, we got Mariah Carley herself. Mariah, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm doing good. I'm asking you how you're doing. You're doing good?
I'm good. I'm on vacation right now, so I'm a little like out of it in my mode. Like, I'm on vacation mode right now, so I'm doing great. And I'm in Florida, and it's hot and miserable. Like, I'm dying.
Florida.
Yeah, it's 98 degrees and it's 80 degrees inside the house right now, so I am dying.
First thing, thank you for coming on this show while you're on vacation. Second thing is, are parts of Florida very Indiana Jones? Do you ever just go on, like, take a machete to the jungle and like walk through?
Yes, that's like South Florida, and I don't go down that far.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up in South Florida, and it's swamp. It's very swamp. It's literally just like, again, I think I told you this, there was an alligator living in my neighborhood. Like this, like in the lake down the street from my house, alligator. Mm-hmm. Just there, hanging out. Yeah, there's snakes, possums, just everything. It's like the Australia of the United States. It's just hot and everything's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm in Tampa, so that's like the furthest south I go.
That's where I grew up.
Yeah. Yes. And also I have my baby dog with me. She's actually on a play date right now visiting friends, because but she's a 90-pound baby, so she's not really a baby. And we just adopted her almost 2 months ago. We adopted her, rescue.
What's her name?
Well, her name is Lila. We named her after watching Guardians of the Galaxy. So after Lila the otter, and she looks like a polar bear and love her to death.
I love the fact that like I know everybody, names pet names after like things they watch and whatnot, but I see it a lot from content creators. It's just like we gotta brand this dog to what I like.
Well, that's funny because like before I became a content creator, my first dog, I used to play Call of Duty all the time, so my first dog's named after Call of Duty. World at War. Oh yeah.
Was the dog itself named Call of Duty?
No, his name's Striker.
Okay, I was like, what?
His name's Striker. So
okay.
We got another dog and we were going to name him Soap, and then my mom caught on and was like, no, so he just has like a basic dog name, so it's kind of boring.
I named my childhood dog Tommy after Tommy from the Rugrats.
Aww.
Yeah, because I was like 6 when I got him, so I was like, I'm gonna name him Tommy after Tommy from the Rugrats, Tommy Pickles.
I had a little white dog that I named Snowy after the dog from Tintin, because Tintin was a big thing for me growing up. And then when we got a black dog, we were thinking of names for him, and we were like, should we name him Sirius? We were gonna name him Sirius from Harry Potter. We went with Tux. We went with Tuxedo. So
that's good. That sounds like a dog's name, so I like it.
Yeah. Way better than Sirius. Sirius would have gotten old real fast. Indiana Jones. I'm trying to think of anyone named. Well, Indiana Jones. Funny enough, Indiana Jones. Indiana is the dog's name that we find out in like Last Crusade, right?
Yes.
I think that's just a funny joke in the third movie that they're like, the dog's name's Indiana.
Yeah. Well, it was like a call, like they did a callback with that in Pirates of the Caribbean when they named the monkey Jack.
That's right.
And it was a callback to like Indiana Jones, like the last, like the dog's name is Indy and the monkey's name's Jack. And
I didn't realize that was a callback.
I don't know if it's, I feel like it is.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where they get it from. And to be Indiana Jones came out first, and
let's give the credit to Indiana Jones.
The one thing, like going back to fandom names, Nova has a twin sister named Wednesday. So the people that adopted her sister named her Wednesday.
This movie, Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, is the fifth Indiana Jones movie. Plus, there's like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, Adventures, something like that. There's like a TV show.
Yes, I actually never watched that. So if you guys don't have to ask, I didn't watch that.
Yeah. See, I have a different attachment to the franchise because I was a '90s kid. So like, I kind of grew up with like it on reruns. Like they weren't coming out when I was alive. I was just watching the old movies.
Same, like I watched them like alongside with The Mummy, because The Mummy was coming out when we were kids, and then it was like, okay, well, let's watch reruns of Indiana Jones. Our parents were like, oh, well, if you like this, you're gonna like Indiana Jones, and I did.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like to help pass, like, I don't know, it was just like era of just watching like Indiana Jones, and I remember The Mummy and Journey to the Center of the Earth, like those movies, even though Indiana Jones came out before, but that was just my childhood watching those movies on repeat.
I think it was like a common, like I love how you mentioned that, because I'm like, I also remember like the bridge between Indiana Jones and The Mummy, where it's like kind of lived in the same part of my brain when I was a kid, and it was obviously two different time periods, like 20 years apart, but like I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because they do kind of have the same vibe.
I'm convinced it's because our parents were watching like in TNT, and we were watching it like they were playing it on a loop on TNT or FX or something like that. So they would come on one after the other. Yeah. So that's the only thing I can think of.
I think both movies, both franchises have obviously action and adventure, but it also has this added vibe of academics can be hot. Like, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
actually, it's what got it's because I'm a history major, and those two movies got me into history, even though I didn't study the same subject as what the movies are based off of. But that was like kind of like I wanted to be I wanted to be a professor. I wanted to be a history professor, and I got that from Indiana Jones and The Mummy.
Yeah.
Did I do anything with my degree? No.
It's funny that you brought up TNT and the reruns because Temple of Doom was edited. It was edited for me, like on TV. Like for the longest time, I didn't know that they ripped the heart out, because in the TV version they just do Kali Ma, and they don't go in. It just kind of stops, and they cut to, oh, he has the heart, and I'm like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they not? That's dumb.
I think, oh no, like I've seen like really weird stuff, like when they edit things for television where they think it's like something's gonna be more appropriate than like what it actually is. And I feel like it's kind of funny because like Indiana Jones it was rated PG. There was like no such thing as PG-13 back then, was there?
Yeah.
So like the shit that you would see in like a PG movie back in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was like, what the hell? Oh my God. Like when you really think, because like right now I feel like everything is like, when people are like, oh, everything is so gross now, everything's sanitized now. Like things are pretty sanitary at the moment, because if you look back at older movies, the stuff they would like be like, oh, this is a family friendly film, and like you would have people's hearts getting ripped out of their chests. And I feel like, I don't know what it is about like, especially like American censorship, where it's like they'll be like, oh, this is appropriate and this is not. And like, for example, I was watching like one of the John Wicks the other day, and like, trigger warning, it's a really like intense scene, but like this lady is like fully no clothes on in a bathtub, and like you can't show, like they have everything blurred, the top, the bottom blurred, but they still allowed us to see her unalive herself by like her wrists. And it's just like, so I can't see the normal body parts, but I can see this horrific display of like blood pooling out of this woman. Okay, so like whatever they just, I'm like, the implications are still there. The heart's still getting ripped out. So like, I don't understand why you didn't just put the whole like at that point, you know. But
for the whole scene.
It's
yeah,
strictly American TV. Like it's an American sensibility that violence is okay, but
violence is okay.
Nudity and cuss
nudity
words,
is not.
Like even cuss words. Like I was watching, I was a kid or whatever when Terminator 3 came out. And Terminator 3, I didn't see in theaters. I saw it on TV. And there's like an obviously edited scene where they cut out the cuss words. And but then you literally see the Terminator punch through the back of a cop's seat and drive the
I remember that.
through the cop.
I remember that. And I was watching Kingsman, the Golden Circle the other day, like on TV, and they would show freaking people getting blown up and shot and like
and
all these horrific things. And the meat packer, somebody literally getting ground up into a burger and eaten, but saying the F word was like too much. It was too much. And I'm just like, they would like replace it with the dumbest words. He'd be like, what the heck? And I'm like, they would not say what the heck. What do you mean, what the heck? Like, you see the most horrific shit in the world. You're like, what the heck? I can't. Like, dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah. Mariah?
Oh, no, that I was agree with you all. It's just, like, especially, I can't believe the Kingsman was on TV. That's what I was thinking. Like, how
it was on, like, FX or something. Like, and obviously, like, but that's the thing too, where like, I'll see the most horrific shit on like TV, but like a boob, no. Like the F word, no. Like, it's just the weirdest stuff where I'm like, so that's okay. And then when they do censor violence, where it's like, okay, the implication is still there. I still know what happened, so you might as well go with it. Like, I don't know what you're trying to sensitize the person's heart getting ripped out, but go off. Like,
so before I get to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I do want to know what you guys would rate it out of 10. but I also do want to know kind of what your rankings are of Indiana Jones movies in general. You don't have to give me a score for those, but like roughly in what's the best, what's the worst. While you guys are thinking about that, I just want to tell you a story about censorship that I love telling. I was flying on, I think it was Qatar Airways. I was flying on Qatar Airways, and they had Mr. and Mrs. Smith as one of the movies to watch, except the poster that they would, like, you have to click on, you know, like what movie you're watching and the poster pops up. There's the back-to-back picture of like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie back-to-back, right? Like they're like in their like kind of spy, like they're like, she's in like a ball gown and he's like in a suit or whatever. They took her out. And the other half is empty, just white space. For Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Like a Sharpie? They didn't even like draw an outfit on her or something?
No, like make the dress longer so you don't see like her thigh maybe. Nope, they didn't do that. They were like, we're just gonna take her out. Completely out.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, not even center on Brad Pitt. Literal Brad Pitt is back to back with nothing. Like
that is so funny. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That is so
They just redacted the whole woman.
It's just called Mr. Smith. That's what it is.
Mr.
It's a
There's no
prequel to
Mr.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with Jimmy Stewart. I don't know how they connect.
I'm like crying real tears. What the hell?
Oh, that's great.
So, bringing it back to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I don't know what you guys would rate it if you guys were even thinking of like how much out of 10 would you rate this movie and why?
I keep immediately saying a 7. The 7 is because like I did like it. I really did like it. I had a great time. It was Indiana Jones. It was nostalgic. It was fun. I love Harrison Ford. Like it was just like, you know, just I don't go into things being like, oh, I hope I hate this. Like, no, I'm typically going to enjoy the things that I like. The reason why I would still kind of bump it down is because I don't think we are quite there with deep faking and CG yet in movies. And here's the thing, that part, like the very first, like maybe 20 or 30 minutes of the movie is like a CGI'd young Harrison Ford, but still with the voice of old Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. And then the lighting was just kind of weird in some spots. And it was, and I'm not, and but look, I am not a CG person. VFX people, y'all's hard work is so freaking like amazing. And I'm not going to sit here and like shit on the hard work of like people working for like literally days and hours at a time. But I think like as a whole, like until there is a way to streamline it so that people aren't working hours and hours and hours and days and days and days on this stuff just for it to still not really look right. Like maybe I like, dare I say, just cast a younger version of the person. Or like take a step back from it. And maybe that's not the type of story you can tell right now. Like, for example, I don't know if this is true or not, but I remember hearing about it a couple of years ago where like James Cameron didn't make Avatar in the 90s because the like technology wasn't there yet. Like he had the script, he had everything, but he didn't make it because it's not the way he wanted it to look. And so he waited a couple of years until it would have been the way he wanted it to look. So, and even now, like you see the new one and it still looks way better than the one in 2009. The one in 2009 was incredible. So like, I think it's a very like give or take where it's like, okay, if you want to tell a particular kind of story, like I wouldn't get angry if you just found a dude that looked enough like Harrison Ford and sounded enough like Harrison Ford and just put him there. I get the idea. I get what you're trying to do. You don't need to copy and paste his face. Like it's not, I don't think it's very practical either, or like overly smoothing somebody to make them look younger. Because looking younger is not just about being smooth. It's also like, your face structure is different when you are 20, 30, 40 years younger. Like the way that your like skin falls on your bones is different. So just putting a smoothing filter on Mads Mikkelsen, like he's not gonna look the way you want him to look. Like it's just that kind of like that thing where it takes you out because you're so focused on like the off-looking details, which sucks because like I did like that part of the movie. That part of the movie I was like, oh, even though I knew Indy was gonna be fine, but like still I like to have my heart pumping, and I like things on trains, you know, like it's fun. But it still is one of those things where it's like all of a sudden you're in the scene and then you see this uncanny valley ass face and you're like, oh, hold on. So yeah. And
that's
another
the big
thing
hit was CGI
yeah,
a big
and
hit to you?
that and also just like there were some parts where I feel like they just went like a little bit too long. Like this, like the chase through the parade. I was like, okay, I feel like he's been getting chased for like a long time. Like I would kindly stop. I'd let them take me. I'm tired. Like those kinds of things where I'm just like, okay, he's been running for a very long time. Like, can we wrap this part up and get to the next one? And just parts like that where it's like just a lot of running or just a lot of like I feel like they could have been shortened and they could have just been more tight, especially when there are such good parts of the movie. And I love the interactions between like Indy and his goddaughter, and I love like their dynamic, and it's great. And just to kind of see him in like this like papa role or like this cool uncle role, and I like that. But it just kind of got soured with things like taking too long. Like it's just that's like the one thing where it's like I feel like just because you can make it long and just because you can do something, that doesn't mean you should. So yeah.
So 7? Is that what you're going for?
A 7. Like 7, probably like within the experience, like 7.5. Okay. Like when you watch it around other people, like it gives you the hype, it gives you like everything going on. And just like you feed off of the people that you watch it with. So like it makes it fun. But at the same time, like I had the same kind of issue with like Mission Impossible, where it's like it gets to the point where it's just like, are we still doing this? You know? Like
I'm gonna disagree with you on Mission Impossible. They
really?
somehow keep getting better. I don't know how. I don't want to like Tom Cruise, but he makes it. He makes it work.
Like oh, we have a very differing opinion.
Like, I mean, Ghost Protocol is my favorite one, so I guess it hasn't gotten better than that in that respect. But
I didn't see that one. That's the thing.
Oh
yeah, I didn't see Ghost Protocol.
Paula
which
Patton?
Like I should have with the mustache gate. I really should have.
No, that was
and
different.
I probably will. That was different.
Yeah, that was.
Wasn't Henry Cavill?
No, Ghost Protocol had Paula Patton and Jeremy Renner. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm thinking about the last one.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I was like, I know
Fallout, I think.
Fallout. Okay, yeah. No,
or
I was
Rogue
like, I was
Nation.
thinking about the.
I forget.
I was thinking about the.
There's so.
I literally was watching like the last half of like the one that Henry Cavill was in the other day, which is probably why it's fresh in my mind. I'm like, oh, that's the reason the mustache looked like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Mariah, what's your score out of 10?
Okay, so mine's not very far off from Amanda's. I will give it, I was thinking an 8 only because of the same reason. I don't know how the deep face is going to age. And it was a lot. So I remember sitting there and I was like, oof, this isn't, it didn't look, I don't know, it looked good, but I don't think it's going to hold up because I was thinking that the other day about how I first saw Luke Skywalker come out. And I thought it was amazing the first time I saw it, but I rewatched it, got my father-in-law to watch The Mandalorian, and I just saw it for the first time from the 2 years. So it's been 2 years since I've seen it. And it does not look good from 2 years ago. And like as I first remembered it, and I'm scared that that's going to happen with Indiana Jones because I love Indiana Jones franchise. I do think I wish they would have still kept the flashback scene, but I missed like the whole like, you know, when they cast a younger person or they just did like a shot from the back to make us assume this is what's going on and not shown his face the whole time. Like give us a little bit of it, but not the first 20 minutes of nothing but flashback. It was a very long time of doing deep face. And I just don't know if that's going to hold up. There are some scenes that I saw, I could blatantly tell that they were on a green screen or it was like that train scene. Like obviously I know that they weren't really on a train. But when I can point that out and see it, it kind of like, I have ADHD and then I'm just like fixed on it. Like, oh my gosh, that took me out of the movie, versus I feel like like the practical effects, like for instance, you were saying like James Cameron, when he didn't do it in the 90s, he actually went into the volume recently to see how the new technology was doing. And he goes, is this better than what I'm doing? He walked out and said, no, what I'm doing is better. So I think Lucasfilm needs to stop doing the volume and go back to doing practical effects.
Yeah.
But if it does hold up in the next couple years, then I'll bump it up higher. I will.
And here's the thing too, again, it's like, it's not like expecting perfection. Like, it's not like expecting, like, again, people that are literally working hours and hours and hours, 7 days a week, like for months. Like, I'm not expecting like like, it's just one of those things where it's like, there are other ways to do it. And when it gets to the point where it's like, I'm just so focused on the fact that like, that's technically not a real person, it makes me not pay attention to what's going on in an otherwise very good scene.
Yeah.
You know, like an otherwise very good, because again, I did like that part. I was like, oh, but then at the same time, like, it's not to the point where like those faces can emote the same way that a human face can. And then also too, like, it's very different because a lot of the time they're piecing those scenes together with body doubles. They're piecing them together with like different takes. And it's like, the actors can't act off of each other the way that they normally would. They can't emote the way they normally would. So it's like, it's taking you out. Because one of the big things, like we brought up with Luke Skywalker, the big thing that I took away from that when I was watching The Mandalorian, I was like, okay, that looks like Mark Hamill, but that is not Mark Hamill. Like, it's not giving real life Mark Hamill in his 20s back in like the 80s. And it was like a little bit uncanny valley because again, they can't emote the same. They can't, like, especially when they move their lips, like, it's just not the same as like a normal person that's not CGI. So it's just kind of like, and then when everybody else around them is real, and when that's the one thing too, you can notice it a lot when other people that are not touched up are around them. Like, you can notice it a lot when the extras, or when somebody who's like not in, like, doesn't have dots on their face or is just there, when they are next to a person that is like partially computer animated, that's when it really sticks out. Because in something like Avatar, they're all animated, like, to some extent. And then sometimes there's humans, but 9 times out of 10, the humans are around other humans. So like, when you have them next to the Na'vi look like each other, and that's why it doesn't take you out, because they're all like that. Everything is generated. But when you have a real person next to a CGI person, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, it's just like, it takes you out.
But that's the thing. That's what they used to do in the early 2000s. And I have to say, like, some of it, like, for instance, I have to bring up Pirates of the Caribbean again. They, like, all those were like CGI. But that stuff holds up.
It holds up. And I think because also now the pipeline is so much more tight, like, it's less, like, you end up with more quantity than quality now, because everything is like, boom, boom, boom. We have to pump it out now. It's coming out in 2 months, 3 months, like things like that, where you can't work on a movie for 2 years anymore because the demand is outdoing the supply. So like, people are just finding faster and faster ways to do things, and people don't want people to take more time on things. And also too, with the CGI in Pirates of the Caribbean, it was used alongside practical effects. So like, they would do practical effects and then they would tweak it with the CGI, like with Jurassic Park. They had real actual dinosaur models, real dinosaurs with real skin, well, obviously not real dinosaurs, but like, they were robotic dinosaurs. And then they would go back in and clean them up and use CGI as like a touch-up tool rather than the entire way they were making the objects or the creatures. And it's the reason why it looks so good is because, again, you're putting it next to real people, and for the most part, those things are real. Like, that's why, in my opinion, why Grogu looks so good, because like, Grogu is a real thing. Like, he's not a little CGI creature hopping around. He's a real tangible little guy. And then they make him, like, they touch him up with CGI instead of just making him a CGI thing and having Pedro Pascal's body double hold a stack of flour. Like, it's with some dots on it. Like, it's different. Like, you can see his little face. You can see him do stuff. You can see him waddle around. And it's like, oh, like, that's a little baby on the set, you know? It's a tangible, real thing. But when you make so many parts of it unreal and then try to put it next to real things, that's when it's like, oh, wait, hold on. Like, and also too, like, time, like, if something made in 6 months is going to look way better than something made in 3. Something made by like a concise team that hasn't been like shopped around for different scenes and has consistency is going to look way better than something that has like 7 different teams working on it. Like, but the way that production is set up now, it's just not like that. Like, it really isn't. And it's unfortunate because then you sacrifice quality, but not everybody can wait 10 years to make their sequel like James Cameron with Avatar. So they just do that, you know?
Yeah, I will have to say though, like story-wise, I give this a 10.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, story-wise, I give it a 10, but I will have to sit on like the effects and everything like that at an 8, but I just really hope that this isn't the future. I just really hope that people like maybe Lucasfilm will look at it and say, we love what you're doing. I love the story. It's there, but just don't give us too much. Like, don't give us a whole Indiana Jones series now with a deep face Harrison Ford, like a younger Harrison Ford, like a young Indy. I do not want that. Or for instance, like people were starting rumors about doing a Luke Skywalker movie, but they're going to deep fake his face. And I'm like, don't do it. What we got, I'm going to say for right now, it was good, but I just hope it holds up. I don't want to look back at it. I don't want to show my children this in 20 years and then be like, oh, you like this? Like, because like I saw Indiana Jones when I was a young kid and I still like loved it because it was held up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't like, that's the only thing I'm scared about because let's be honest. And then the fourth one was all CGI and that didn't hold up. It hasn't.
We will definitely talk about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as we get into this movie. I want to say that I give it maybe a 7.5. And it depends on how much I take out for CGI, but CGI wasn't even my big thing. My big thing is Act 3. And I mean, we'll get into it. The final act of the movie subtracts like 2 points for me. I was thinking about like how I would do things better. I was thinking about that, like as a writer, how I would do things better. And I'm not working for them. They didn't ask me to write it, so I get it. I'm not, doing that. But I do have some points that we'll get to. That's like minus 2 points. And then whether I minus like 1 or a half a point for CGI, it's that. And the only reason it's that small is because like I get it. They're using a young Harrison Ford, and there are a lot of glaringly obvious CGI parts. Like when there's like when Harrison Ford is on the Nazi bike, he like hits the tree, the Nazi goes flying out of that sidecar, and then he gets onto the train. There's this like shot of the train where you can just see it's just like a shadow puppet running on the top.
I saw that too.
It's just
what
like
I was talking about.
He's not moving properly. Like, you can't even see it. Like, it should be easy enough to get someone on a soundstage, just jump over a couple platforms, black them out, because they're just a shadow, and get them to run. Like, it wouldn't be that hard. I could do it right now. Like, but they didn't do that.
I have to agree with you, Dimithri, because that's exactly the scene that took me out of it. That was like, oh no.
I was like, it looks like a puppet. I don't get why that should be the easiest shot to do because it's so far back. It's just a shadow of a person.
I felt like because they took so much time working on because the deep face. I mean, it looked good sometimes. And some lighting. Yeah, sometimes it did. Okay, there was one scene when he got inside the car of the when he had the helmet and everything on, and he started talking. No, he didn't talk.
That was also a funny part. He did not talk, right? Like
because when they look the fakest when they're speaking.
Yes.
Yeah. But also, I don't think Indy knows German, right? Indy doesn't.
No, he
know.
doesn't.
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they were like giving him orders, and he was like, like yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he got into a car, when the lighting hit him, it took me out of it because he looked like Dennis Quaid.
Oh, yeah.
It looked very much because it was like a mix between young Indy and old Indy in that some lighting. I was like, that looked like Dennis Quaid. Like it really did.
Oh wow, not the dad from the Parent Trap.
Yeah.
He's been in other stuff, you know.
Yeah, I know, but he's the dad from the Parent Trap.
Before we get into like even more nitty gritty about this, where does Dial of Destiny rank? Like, what's your ranking of Indiana Jones out of those 5?
For me, I think it's number 3. It's a number 3 for me. Only because I did not remember. Last Crusade. Because I had to go I remember seeing it obviously as a kid, but I had to rewatch it last year because I was like, I don't remember this one. So I was like putting that movie with, I was mixing that movie up with one of the Mummy movies in my brain. So I had to, but I do like that movie. It's just the fact that I kind of blocked that movie out of my brain. So
yeah. So what are your 5? How would you like?
Oh, it would be Raiders, Temple, then Destiny, Dial of Destiny, then Last Crusades, and then Crystal Skull is
interesting.
Yeah. That one was awful. I'm sorry. I'm a big critic of that one because I remember like going to watch it and I was feeling very lost. Like I felt like I missed like 5 movies.
I feel like that era of like movies, like specifically between like 2007 and 2010, which funnily enough, like is during and post writers' strike. That era of movies was just a mind screw. Because several really questionable movies, including like The Last Airbender, came out during that time, and it's just like it's questionable.
Yeah.
It made me not like Indiana Jones because I felt like I had missed movies and I was like, I'm not, it's my fault for not liking it. And it turned me off and I actually stopped watching Indiana Jones and moved on to something else. I was like, okay, well, that was awful.
I do think 2006 to 2010 maybe was the time where Hollywood was like, let's find our next new franchise because Harry Potter was dying down. And they were like, let's find our new huge phenomenon. Transformers hit around that time and like picked up a lot of steam. Like the first 3 Transformers, I was talking about it with Jay Likes Comics. Like that was like pre-MCU phenomenon. Like those first 3 Transformers movies.
Those were big. Like those were like big, and that's when like Megan Fox like had her come up. Like Shia LaBeouf was like the kid, like the guy that you hired for stuff, like, which is why I think they probably put him in Indiana Jones, because at the time Shia LaBeouf was coming off of Transformers fame. So like there was a lot going on that kind of snowballed into the dumpster fire of what movies were back in like the 2007 to 2010-11 category. It was a very interesting time. That's when Twilight blew up, 2008. Just like again, it was kind of like you said, like Hollywood was trying to throw everything at the wall and see what was going to stick, because Harry Potter was coming to an end in like what, 2011, 2010? Like they were coming to an end. So it's like, what do we do now? Anything, everything. What's nostalgic? What do people like? What was on TV in the 90s? Like, what do people want to watch? And they just kind of threw everything at the wall. They went to books. They went to like old nostalgic, like Transformers, like what was like a 90s TV show,
80s,
like
80s cartoon,
80s cartoon,
toys.
Based off the toys, based off of Hasbro toys. Like it was.
They tried to bring back G.I. Joe.
A lot of things is like
trying to bring back G.I. Joe. They're still trying to.
No, they did at the end, like the random ass. Sorry, spoiler alert for the most recent Transformers. When I saw G.I. Joe, I literally audibly in the theater was like, G.I. Joe.
What? Yeah.
What? Like, yeah.
So,
I actually really
yeah.
like. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the new
The
Transformers.
new one was actually pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was really.
I might be biased because I'm Puerto Rican, but
Oh, well,
yeah.
I'm not Puerto Rican. I was raised by Puerto Rican, so it's like
nice.
a variation. So I lived in Isla Verde off of there.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Hey.
My mom
parents
was adopted by a Puerto Rican family. So
cool.
So I thought it was Puerto Rican.
You're Puerto Rican by upbringing.
Yes.
Here's your card.
Just real quick, my rankings are Last Crusade as number 1, but very close to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And the only reason it gets the edge is because Sean Connery. Like, I like their interplay.
Yeah.
So it's Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, then Dial of Destiny. It's my number 3. It's a solid
number
middle,
3.
You know?
Yeah.
And then Temple of Doom, then Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Got you. I'm gonna be so astronomically for real. I barely remember the first original movies because I haven't watched them since I was a child. But I will give you the ranking of the ones I have seen most recently. As with y'all both, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is last. It is last because all I remember from that movie is ants taking away Cate Blanchett. That's all I can. That is what's ingrained in my head.
The worst part is Shia LaBeouf swinging from vines like a monkey, catching up to a jeep. Like Dial of Destiny brought it.
Dial of Destiny needs Oscars compared to that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will to say that Dial of Destiny gave us an ending.
Yeah. Much more sad. I love, okay, sorry to interject, but I love how they just whole ass killed off his son.
That was wild.
He was dead. I was like, damn.
I felt so bad. I'm gonna be honest. I felt so bad.
Photo of him. They didn't even show a photo of him, did they?
No. They only showed a photo of his wife.
Right.
He died in Vietnam. I'm assuming Vietnam, not Korea. But
I think it was Nam. It was Nam.
Yeah.
When I heard that he died, I was like, holy shit, they just killed off Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. It made sense for why like they kind of like fell apart and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but I do have to say I did like that they didn't like completely just like disregard.
Oh yeah, disregard that his whole ass had a son, which I thought they were gonna do. I was really concerned that I'm just like, okay, I know that we weren't a fan of this, but how you just gonna forget the whole ass kid? And they didn't. They said he's dead. That's like which valid.
Like I get it. I get what's happening, but like the thing is, like through those movies, I didn't think he was bad in it. I just thought the writing was bad. In the movie, because I don't think anyone had like they got great actors in that movie. I think y'all didn't do your job and give them a good script. I feel like that was not the actors' fault.
Like you can only sprinkle glitter on shit for so long, and it's still.
And then the aliens at the end of it. I'm sorry, that movie.
Wait, the what?
So there's no aliens.
Aliens.
There are no aliens in that movie. It's just interdimensional beings.
That's what an alien is, okay?
Shit, it's an alien.
But the only thing I can think of when I think of that movie, you guys remember on the History Channel that you always get like ancient aliens?
The guy with the hair, and he's just like
aliens. That's the movie for me. That's what I think.
Oh my god.
I have to be honest though, that movie got me on my Cate Blanchett crush train.
Oh, she's amazing though.
Like I wanted to be like I could change her, you know.
I can change her.
You don't have to kill her off at the end. Irina Spalko was her name, you know.
Listen, that's what Hela from Guardians of the Galaxy is for.
What'd you say?
That's what Hela from not Guardians of the Galaxy, freaking Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. That's what Hela's for. Cate Blanchett. I get my Cate Blanchett fix that way. I don't need Indiana Jones.
That's fair. Let's talk about like some of the things that we really loved about this movie, right? This movie has a lot of well, there's a lot of things. Where should I start? It's a pretty big cast of people and faces that we've seen before in a lot of other movies. Let's start off with Harrison Ford though, because I mean, he's the big guy. How did you all feel? Because I'm just gonna throw something out there. I thought he played second fiddle in his own movie.
I was worried about that. I didn't. At first, I thought that was going to happen, but by the end of it, I kind of got a second notion about it because I thought it was very equal. I thought he was going to be completely sidelined, and because like the last one, Crystal Skull, I got to bring that movie up again. He was silent. I feel like they focused really hard on Shia LaBeouf's character. What's his name in that movie?
Mutt Williams.
Mutt.
You're right. His name is that. Okay. Well, that was not what my brain was. I had completely blocked that movie out, y'all. And but anyways, they focused mainly because, you know, Shyla, it's a younger, and obviously they were going to go with their idea was to do sequel movies with it and follow him with that, of course, that didn't work out. But I feel like it was very equal of giving them the storyline.
Yeah. I have to agree with Mariah because like it's again like I'm gonna be kind of like make it into I'm gonna use my logic brain for this. Like he's an older dude. He was just trying to like live his life. He was just in his apartment going through his divorce. Like it just, you know, old man shit. Like at his company retiring. Like it's kind of in a way just like refreshing is just see him just kind of be like a person and just be like they're just trying to vibe and like literally nobody's letting him like nobody is letting him
Ford's actual life. It felt like Harrison Ford's actual life. Like no one would let this man
nobody's
rest.
letting this man rest. Like I'm just like this man is so over it. They're just like
and then Marvel called him up and then he's like, I gotta do it because my best friend died. So now he's like obligated to be in Marvel now. So
like literally. So it's just like, okay, damn. Like it's just kind of like I could feel that where he's just like, here we go again. Like it was just kind of funny. And I liked it because he was just like, bro, I am just trying to and also him, a little tiny scene, but just like a little old grumpy man character moment that I loved was when he like put the magnet over his wife's face on the freaking fridge, and I was just like, oh my god, like just like wordless dialogue, less like little thing of just like like a little and it was just really funny. And I like that, oh god, her name, she's Fleabag, not
Phoebe
Fleabag, is it
Waller-Bridge.
Fleabag? Yeah, it's Phoebe. Like I like too that like it was an addition of somebody who's like indie adjacent, where it's just like somebody related to one of Indy's friends rather than like some random long lost ass like I'm your cousin or I'm like a niece, like some random woodwork type shit. Like
really scared that they were gonna make her Indy's daughter.
I know, I was really scared too. I was like, oh god,
yeah,
here we go again. Like what baby mama drama situation is this? But like, nah, he's just a god kid.
I mean, that's what they did with Die Hard. Die Hard,
what?
they just kept pulling like kids, like
like just stuff out of it.
Yeah, Bruce Willis, like John McClane's daughter is in Die Hard 4, and then they were like, yeah, he also has a son in Die Hard 5, and it's like
from
he has
where?
a grown-ass son.
What? Oh god. Okay,
it was Jai Courtney, Captain Boomerang.
Oh, remember when they tried to make Jai Courtney? I'm just saying really, really mean shit about like the 2007 to the 2010.
It was a rough time.
It was a wild west. I was a child and now I can vocalize what I was feeling. Yeah. So like, but I feel like for this movie in particular, where it's like I feel like they had a very fun dynamic. And I also like too how she was kind of like, I like also like a little twist of it being like she was gonna take it and she was gonna pawn it. Like she was just like, I'm not doing this for like the honor of my father or some shit. I want to make some money. And I'm like, you know what? You're bad, girl, I guess.
But kind of like that anti-hero type of.
Yeah, like an anti-hero. And you don't really get to see, and one of the things I liked about that is that you don't really get to see women like that. Like most of the time characters like that are men. And if they are women, they're like hypersexualized. They normally are just like a femme fatale trying to like seduce the main man and trying to get under his skin. But nah, she's just some like punk ass kid, even though she's like in her 30s. But like just comes up being like, hey, goddad, let's do this cool thing. Psych. Like it's just fun and refreshing to see kind of like a girl in a silly, goofy mood, just trying to commit some high not Grand Theft Auto, just like high, what is it called when you steal shit?
Larceny.
That word.
Is that what you're talking about? I don't. To this day, I still don't know what larceny is.
Just like stealing expensive shit, like not just stealing, but like stealing really, really, really valuable, expensive things.
Oh, I was thinking colonialism, but it's fine.
Oh, that too. Colonization, you know.
Colonization. Like, oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
I say Lucasfilm. Speaking of colonization, what's up with Lucasfilm casting British women, like brunette British women, as like their antagonist? Like everyone in the main role for Lucasfilm, they cast British women, like brunette British women.
Maybe that's just the vibe, man. Like maybe that's just like the archetype. Like if you're brunette and British, that's it. Like
like I was like sitting there, I was like, that is like so much like Rey. We got Kira in there. We got the from Rogue One. Like they all look the same.
Yeah, that's the thing about Star Wars is like I don't like not too many blondes exist. They're all brunettes.
Not too many blondes. Like out of context, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but the only reason why like Indiana Jones isn't that bad, like, because it's both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. So I think George Lucas likes brunettes and Steven Spielberg likes blondes because so Marion Ravenwood in the first Indiana Jones, brunette. Okay. Then in the second one, I forget what her name is, but she was Steven Spielberg's wife in real life. She was the blonde love interest in Temple of Doom.
Willie Scott.
Sorry?
Willie Scott.
Is that her? Oh, the character's name. Yeah.
That's her
real name.
I know what her real name is. Don't.
I forget. It's his ex-wife. And then there's the blonde Nazi in the third.
The blonde Nazi.
And then we get brunette Irina Spalko in Kingdoms of the Crystal Skull.
Mm-hmm.
So they're fighting. They're like, brunettes are better. Blondes are better.
Marion's back in
Yeah. And Marion is also in spoiler alert, which we're doing spoilers no matter what.
This is all
she's also in this one. She's also in this one. She also comes back after he's come back from freaking ancient Rome?
Ancient Greece.
Ancient Greece.
No, it was in Sicily. Hang on.
Sicily.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So was it okay? It was in Rome?
Yes, it was. Well, the Romans were attacking Sicily.
Oh, the Romans, like there was Roman shit.
Yes. This was the Roman time. This was ancient Rome, because his subject was Romans, and the guy from The Mummy, I forgot what his name is, but Brandon Fraser, he studied Egypt and Greece, so that's how I kept them separate. So
got you. Also, your accent is like the best thing ever.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I love it so much.
Funny story, I always joke about it. It's not my true accent. I used to have like a thick Boston accent as a kid. And then I moved to Kentucky and they thought I had a speech impediment. So now I sound like this. I sound like a Southern belle.
Oh my God. Not like I lived in Florida for 16 years. And then like now I obviously live out west. So, and then my parents, like, I lived in New York for like the first 6 years of my life. Yeah. So it's all just somewhere, everywhere. Like it doesn't compute.
Try to mask my Southern accent. Side note, until someone mentions like, you're never going to get a job unless you change your Southern accent. So guess what? I play it up harder.
You what?
I play it up even more now. Because
no. Like it's stupid. Like when people are like, oh, I'm like, dude, the amount of things I've done that people are like people are like, you're never going to find a job with like, I had like 1 tattoo at the time and now I have like 8 and I'm just like, so how about that? Just fun stuff.
But yes, but what was I saying? I was on a
Italy.
Blondes, brunettes,
Yeah,
and
were we?
then Rome.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rome. Yes. So yes, I will have to say I cried on that part. As me being a history major, I absolutely like that would have been a dream of mine to like it's still a dream of mine. If I could go back to that time, well, not the Roman time period because that was awful.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, you
I'm
couldn't
good.
really pay me to go back anywhere past
Well,
Yeah.
2015.
To me, as like when I was seeing that, and then like the look on like the guy's face who was the Nazi, he went back and he realized like his plan didn't work because he missed the calculations, and then so he was taken down by the Romans, who like it's ironically because the Nazis and the Romans parallel each other, and it was such poetic justice right there for me. And I was just because like Hitler tried to act like he was part of like this new up and coming Roman Empire and everything coming down, and then the Roman Empire is what took down the final Nazi. Sorry, nerd alert. And I cried because like someone who studied like, well, for me it would have been Greek. If I was in ancient Greece and I would have saw like the Spartans and that gotten to go back to that time period, I would have done this probably the same thing. I would have like, let me stay here. I want to die the Spartan death because I studied it for so long. I would love to see that.
I was so scared that he was gonna like dead ass die. Like I thought, I was just like, oh my god, am I gonna watch Harrison Ford die again? Like what the heck?
I thought the guy in the coffin, that was him because it showed the watch.
Oh.
And they made a point of noticing the watch, his watch, and made it saying, that's my dad. Hey, give me back that watch. That's my dad's watch. And then that the first thing he touched on the skeleton was a watch. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be him. This is the part where he stays back and he, you know, like he was, and the guy was like, oh, you were always meant to, meet me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is how Indiana Jones died. And I was like sitting there crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm so glad.
I was like,
I'm so glad he didn't get left behind. I'm so glad he didn't get left behind. Like,
I love how she decked him. Like she was just like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I said she's definitely Slytherin. When she did that, I was like, the Slytherin. Like, she is the.
You say Slytherin, that could be a Gryffindor trait to keep order.
No, Harrison Ford, that Indiana Jones is a Gryffindor. She is definitely a Slytherin. She's very selfish. She wanted, because like a Gryffindor would have like let their friend choose like their own path and been noble. She was like, no, I'm a Gryffindor. I'm a Slytherin.
I'm a Slytherin, and this is where we're disagreeing, Mariah, because you think Gryffindors are all so great, and I'm telling you that Gryffindors aren't that great, okay? Super overrated.
They are. I think Gryffindor and Slytherin are the exact same houses because I can go in a big tangent about that.
It's like two halves of the same coin or whatever.
Yeah, because courage isn't a trait.
Yeah, okay, fair.
It's a choice. It's not a characteristic trait. It's a choice.
Yeah.
I will die on that hill. You're not born courageous, or you're not like, that's just like, it's a choice that we make every day to be, whether we're going to be scared of something or not. Like, that's a choice that you make.
I love how, just a side note, I love how HP fandom makes HP better at the, like, regardless of JK. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, like I would say, I'm like, when can I say FJK Rowling?
Right.
like when can I just like slide that in there? Like, wait.
The fandom is what makes it good to me, and it's not.
Right.
Where it like belongs to the public now rather than.
I think so.
Like I was never an HP kid. Like I never got into Harry Potter. I was definitely a Percy Jackson kid, a Hunger Games kid, a Series of Unfortunate Events kid. Just like I was not into Harry Potter. I read like 2 books and then I was like, no, which is odd because I like wizards and witch shit. Like I'm a spooky Latina, but like I was like, but no, like I grew up and I knew a lot of people that like loved Harry Potter, and I'm like, they're not bad people, but like I just it was never my thing. I do know that I'm a Ravenclaw though, which is why I was staying out of the discourse, because I'm just like, I'm neither. So
I think Indy's a Ravenclaw personally.
Yeah.
I think because he's about knowledge. He's about that stuff. Like, he isn't always, like, Gryffindors to me are law and order. Like, he's not just doing the right thing and being a superhero. He's on the quest for knowledge. And in the meantime, he saved some people and whatever.
Yeah. I know a lot of people think I'm like half Ravenclaw and half Gryffindor, but I always put everyone first, like to a default. So it puts me in Gryffindor. Like to a default, I put everyone in front of myself, and that's so bad. It's a bad trait.
Yeah. I'm
you gotta put your oxygen mask on first. Like you gotta put your oxygen mask on first before you can help other people put on their mask.
Yeah.
See, that I would not do that. I can already tell you.
From an empty cup. Exactly. Anyway,
me, I get hurt. I would drown, or I would dehydrate.
Yeah,
I would.
My big problem with this movie is Act 3, and I think it went too far. I'm okay with the time travel, the time fisher, right? It's not an all-encompassing time travel machine. I get that. That's cool. I'm even a little bit, I think there could have been a better choice, a little bit better with his calculations were off. I love the calculations being off part. I think that was all gold. And then he said abort. He got sucked in. He was like, we're exactly where we need to be. And then he realizes he's wrong. Love that part. I didn't like all the time they spent. And they met Archimedes. They talked to Archimedes. They were in the battle to a Roman's like, ho, 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 to you. And like, it's like, why are we fighting ancient Romans now? Like, it was too much for me. It was too much. I think they could have flown over and realized they were in the wrong time, and you could have seen it from afar and never interacted, inspired the Phoenix with the propellers, do that whole thing, and then figured it out from there.
Huh. So you don't like the fact that like they actually went down and like interacted with everything?
Yeah.
I think, in all honesty, because like logic wise, which again, like I don't know how you can apply logic to like a story that like fundamentally had time travel in it.
Yeah.
But like, because immediately like in my head, I'm like, oh, if this was real life, they would die on sight. Like it would be on sight. Some random bullshit fell out of the sky on fire. And then all these people in these strange clothes speaking this strange language, they would be gone. Nobody would stop to think about anything. Oh, sorry. I just saw the scariest freaking bug outside. But I was like, oh, holy shit. But yeah. But when I like kind of like thought about it, where I'm like, I'm at a point where I'm like, if something is already absurd, where I'm like, I get to the point where I'm like, okay, are we just going to go deeper into the absurdity? Because it's already absurd when you think about it. Like a Nazi, first of all, Nazis are absurd. And then, what's absurd? A Nazi. But like, first of all, Nazis are absurd. And like, this dude with this dial thinking that if he puts it in the right calculations, which that's not how the world works. We learned that in Moon Knight. You cannot just put the coordinates in because the Earth will not be in the same position, my guy. So like, you're not that smart. Friggin' like having the clouds open up just to go back to ancient Rome. That is absurd. Like it's absurd.
Right.
So I'm at the point where I'm like, it's already absurd. Why not me? Like, why not meet Archimedes? Why not give him a watch? Why not at this point? Because it's already absurd. So, like, I didn't really have a problem with that part because I was just like, you know what? We're already here. Might as well. And that's why I was kind of okay with it. Because also, again, too, like you see Indiana Jones again kind of over it and kind of being like, bro, I want to stay here. This is where I want to be. I just want to go on vacation. Like, I'm just tired. And you just see this tired guy being like, bro, what do I got to go back to? Like, nonsense in my divorce papers? Like, what? And then, like, you have Phoebe's character, Helena. Her name's Helena, right? Helena.
They pronounce it two different ways, I think, in the movie.
Yeah, and I'm like, pick one, please. I can't do this. I need consistency. Yeah. But But like you have Helena like be like, nah, you're coming home with me, and just socking him in the face and bringing him kind of back to reality. Yeah. And like I didn't really have a problem with that because again, I'm like, we're already here and it's already absurd. There is a Nazi in the middle of ancient Rome. Like there is a Nazi on fire in the middle of ancient Rome. We can't get any more absurd than that.
Also, know why no one discovered that because they went back in time.
Yeah, and I'm like, are we just gonna ignore the whole? Because well, I think one of the reasons too is because like clothing, especially like modern clothing, which like back then, like what the 40s, 30s, 40s, like it will degrade. Like clothing over time will degrade, so they wouldn't be able to find like their uniforms and shit, so they would just look like normal dead men that died in a fire. But like that's the only like rationale I have. But that's why the watch was left behind, because the watch wouldn't decay. Like the whole the cogs and the freaking leather and stuff would hold up. So
and things get lost to time all the time.
A lot, yeah. You know? Like especially too, where it's just like lands change, land mass changes. Like if a flood happens, something could end up at the bottom of the ocean. Like you don't know. Like there's so much stuff that we haven't even found from like the past, and we're still finding new shit. So like it's very likely that like these two random Nazis just never were found again. Like they are just gone, and so is their plane. They probably smelted their shit from some iron or whatever. Like the plane's gone, everything's gone. So like yeah.
I have an idea for an alternate ending, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. You know, I think. So Mads Mikkelsen's character wanted to go back in time before Germany invaded Poland and kill Hitler and take his place, right? I'm assuming like that was his plan, because he said Hitler did everything wrong. I will do it right? So
like he wasn't extreme enough, and it's like he wasn't extreme enough.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that awkward. All right, connection's fixing itself.
Cool.
Yeah, I hear and see.
Okay, cool. So
I hear you.
I separate than my ending. The part where he talks to the waiter, the black waiter, I was, you know, when he was like, where are you from? That whole like question.
Yeah.
I was like, real people ask this question all the time in real life. But I was so creeped out.
Yeah. Well, it did make me mad. In the sense that I've gotten that question a bunch, and I am lucky enough that I do know. I don't tell people because it's like it's none of their business to know, because they just want to be smart and everything. But that question has been asked several times, like, where are your people from? Like, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm African American, I'm from here. I don't associate myself with some parts because it's like I don't know that history, because that history was stolen from me. And like for instance, and then I had my whole identity crisis too, because when I thought I grew up Puerto Rican, then finding out, oh, you're not. It's like, okay, so I have to relearn everything else. But it's just that question still gets asked today, and I just honestly, it obviously you got to know like this villain, like sorry, that just makes me mad. And his constant answers like, oh, you fought in the war. It's like, well, how's it going for you now? You know what? It's fine because he's alive. At the point of the Nazis, like, oh, so you're saying that his life would have been better if the Nazis would have won? Like,
when he said you guys didn't win.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, like it just shows too where it's like he's such an evil, scummy piece of shit. Like he's just icky. Like I remember like watching it in the theater, and I went like I literally like my eyes went like wide, and I was like, he said what? Like, and it's like what, the 60s, like the late 60s.
In the movie, it should be 69 because they got back from space.
And it's just like, okay, it's 1969, and like not only is this motherfucker a Nazi, but like also the fact that it's like, I'm sorry.
The segregation's going on.
The segregation, like we just like I think the Civil Rights Act got passed like what, 5 years prior,
right? Yeah,
like it was just passed, like literally, like and it's not gonna magically be like poof, racism's gone. Like we see it right now, racism is not gone. So like it was just like the most scummy, skeezy moment, like character defining moment where you're like, oh, this guy's not just a piece of shit, he's a piece of shit. Like he's like horrible. And like again too, like I'm Puerto Rican as well. Like, and I just like I'm lucky enough to know where I'm from. And I'm lucky enough to like be able to trace enough to know like where my ancestry is from. But like a good half of that was not, it was bad. Like it was bad up until even the 50s, where like they literally like used to experiment on Puerto Rican women and like test birth control on them and test medications on them as recently as the 50s. And like, or like the fact that they ran out of natives on the island and they brought over slaves because they were killing them. And it just like, it's such a scummy ass question to ask, because it's just like, you know the answer and it's not good. Like, you know the answer and it's not good, so why would you shut up? Like,
I had a lady one time, this is off subject, but I had a lady like tell me, so I was like, you know, my family, like African American, stuff like that, and she was like, well, what part of Africa? And I was just like, I don't know. And she goes, well, I've been there, I have to tell you about it.
You know what part of Africa I know where I'm from? West. You know why? Because that's where they got people on boats.
She had to say, like, I have to tell you about it. Like, I have to share it with you.
Oh, if you don't shut up.
Because they went, she went on a safari. I think they were in South Africa. Yes. And
she wanted to tell you about her safari?
And I'm not going to lie, I was jealous because I always wanted to go on an African safari. But it was just the fact that she was like, oh yeah, we went on the African safari, and she was like, I have to tell you all about my experience, and like, maybe you can relate. And I was just like, I've been to Animal
Kingdom. Not Animal Kingdom.
Like
the audacity.
Yeah, this is. I love it.
Mads Mikkelsen's character is a great example of the pseudo intellectuals that we meet in real life. Right?
Oh, yeah.
However accomplished they are, they think that they know everything and they're incapable of making mistakes. In the end of this movie, he makes a big mistake.
See, I want to say, we're talking about the character, we're not talking about the actor that we don't like.
Yeah.
But I will say about the actor, I will have to give him kudos, like, brilliant. Like, that look on his face of defeat, I saw it. And
he's a good actor.
Yes, he's a great, phenomenal actor, and this great of playing a villain. Like, so good. I mean, you know, he's not from Germany. Where is he from?
Is he Austrian?
Oh, same area.
He's from somewhere.
He's Danish. He's
Danish.
Yeah,
he's Danish. Okay.
Oh, Danish.
I'm so used to him playing like.
He's originally a gymnast and dancer.
You know, he gives me that vibe.
Really?
I could see him flipping. I could see him doing some flips.
Well, but him playing that character was just very believable, and just like the look on his face at the end when the plane was falling, he knew that he had like he was wrong. He wasn't better than, for instance, Hitler, who also made mistakes, and he just, that look of defeat.
It didn't humanize him, because he's, again, like a scum of the earth, and I'm not gonna a person like that, I'm not going to give the title of human being, but it immortalized, where it's like he realized that he is mortal and that he has mortality, and that he is not like whatever freaking god he was trying to be, and whatever like leader he was trying to be. He was just some guy with a dumbass plan and a dumbass execution.
And he was taken down by Romans who had like this, like, not even advanced technology. Like,
I'm like, you were taken down by wood and some rocks, my guy.
Yes.
Like, you were taken down by a glorified slingshot, my dude.
It just reminds me of like somebody polled like a bunch of men, and then they said, "How
do you think you could confidently land a plane?"
No. Oh, there's that. There's a bunch of those questions, right? But there's, can you confidently land a plane? But then there's one that I was thinking of is, could you beat a bear in a fight? No weapons. No weapons. Could you beat a bear in a fight?
How many men said yes?
More than should have, you know?
I'm with my boyfriend's white, and he said yes. He's convinced that he could take on a bear. Yes, he is. And I was like, for me, I just have to beat the person behind me. I just have to outrun the person behind me.
I'm gonna push the person that was convinced they could beat the bear.
Wait, sorry, what?
I said I'm gonna push the person that was convinced they could fight the bear in front of me, and I'm gonna run.
Mariah, you won't have to worry. You could be walking away and he'll go
while
fight
he's
the bear.
fighting the bear.
Well, not necessarily a bear. Okay, he thinks he can take down because we have mountain lions in the area too. He's also like he loves cats, and he's like he has his toxic trait.
A cat versus a mountain lion.
He thinks he could tame like if I ever go hike, I won't go hiking with him because he would be like, "Oh, come here, you do that."
Oh, he has no fight or flight, does it?
No,
oh my god, no sense of self-preservation at all.
He would tame like a cat. That like wild animals, any kind of animal. If it comes to animals,
does he think he's Eliza Thornberry?
I was gonna say Tarzan, but
what?
Comes to animals, he has like anything else though. He's completely logical, like getting on a helicopter plane. Like he's like, no, submarine, no, won't do that. But animals, wild animals.
So the stuff that's like been troubleshot and like tested, maybe not the Ocean Gate one, but the stuff that's been proven pretty safe, he won't get on.
No,
but he'll try to fight a bear.
He would try to tame a bear. I guarantee you he would. If he could,
like Chris Pratt in Jurassic Park with the freaking girl.
You know, like a white woman would tame that dog. That's Kirk would too. Like he would tame any kind of animal. Like,
I'm gonna cry real tears.
Yeah, if it has fur and claws, he's gonna tame it.
Has he seen Nope?
No, I don't think so. No, but he won't watch
it.
He should watch it.
I will have to see it. I have to watch it.
Watch it.
He won't watch. It fits with this. Just so you know.
What's the guy with all the tigers and stuff like that? Like the
Joe Exotic?
Yeah, okay. He won't watch it because he's like, if those idiots can have a tiger, why can't I? And I'm just like,
because it's a wild animal, and you shouldn't own one.
So he's like, won't watch it because he's jealous that they have it and he doesn't. Like, it's awful.
Joe Exotic is also in prison. So like
he's like, I could take care of him better. I'm like, oh my god.
I guarantee you can't.
I'm glad we're poor.
I wish I had that level of confidence.
Right. Of a white me too.
We're gonna pivot back to Indiana Jones. So stick with me here. My idea for an alternate ending.
Awesome.
Mads Mikkelsen's character, Schmidt, or whatever his name was, he does his calculation wrong. That's all correct. He goes into the fissure. That's all correct. He was aiming for pre-invasion Poland. He ends up at Victory in Europe Day, which is all the Americans celebrating that they won the war. So he can't go back any further. It's a fixed point in time. Like, he cannot change time like the way he wants to change time. And the goal, like, I guess the message is that like the Nazis were always going to lose, you know?
So it's a canon event.
Kind of, yeah. So the Nazis are always going to lose. And maybe you can have one final fight scene when they land and like whatever. And in the end, he gets shot by an American soldier who is just going to shoot a Nazi. Like, because they're in Victory in Europe Day. You know what I mean?
But what would the...
Because he's wearing the Nazi uniform.
He is wearing the Nazi uniform.
In a parade that is celebrating the fact that they won.
The downfall of Nazis. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's not Romans versus Archimedes, but I think centering it around the Nazi downfall would have been nicer. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
Or I don't know. Continue, Mariah. Sorry. I'll think.
Keep it. I'm going to give an alternate ending, but keep it how it happened about them going back to ancient Rome. Because I do like that the Romans took down the Nazis just because it's like history-wise, it's a poetic justice for history for me. Yeah. I would have made Indy stay in the past. I would have.
The timeline though.
Well,
would he?
I think. Well,
I don't think
it depends on how you view the timeline, but yeah. I don't know.
I don't think he would have messed up the time. I think Indy is very smart that he wouldn't, that he would just, he is actually there, like, once again, going with your Ravenclaw theory, he's just there to learn and experience it. And then he, like, something would happen, like Helena has to go back, but Indy it has to stay, like, because the dial wasn't done because Archimedes was like, he was putting it together and it was unfinished. I thought the dial was going to stay back, like they had brought it back, and then like kind of like some pieces wouldn't have worked unless he had pieces, because he put that compass in there, and I thought the compass was from the future, but I think I might have missed something in there.
It was a
because I was like,
little bit.
Like, because when you get that flashbacks and you see him working on it, and it's like not even halfway done yet. So I was like, oh, so you're going to bring back the full piece to him. And I thought that was the connection of it. Keep on traveling back in time. And Indy was always supposed to go back in time. Like, you were supposed to do this. Like, you're trapping the Nazis here. You're keeping them here. Like, you were always supposed to come back to this time and save, I don't know, something about saving the timeline, saving something. Yeah. Along that line, that he has to stay back and Helena needs to go back. Oh, side note, whatever happened to that random dude that just like he was in the plane and they never showed him again. He was sleeping in his plane, and the guy
the kid
showed him again. Like, he got back and he woke up and he was like, oh, like that guy was just.
They probably thought he was tweaking.
There's probably a deleted scene because we never see them go back in. I thought
we never see them go back in either.
That guy would be the trained pilot to. Everybody gets in the plane and he flies them out of there. But he didn't do anything.
Yeah, he probably was having an existential crisis somewhere, because like that's what I'd be doing. I'd be like, like
yeah.
Right. So funny, but it made Indy stay back, but. I do like the fact that she punched him and he got to go back. And then I saw because I, once again, cried my eyes out with him and Mary and Ravenwood when they, fixed their relationship, and
they kissed
the callback. And the callback to Raiders, and like, it hurts here. Oh, sorry. Cried my eyes out.
I'm glad he didn't stay back in time. I think the message of the whole movie, because it starts off with, like, there's a reason why the movie takes place during Moon Day, where it's like, we're moving in the space age, right? Like, what is the point of an old man stuck in the past learning about the past? Like, what is
when there's so
point?
much stuff coming in the future?
Right. And he doesn't feel like he has anything left. His son is dead. Because his son is dead, his marriage has fallen apart. He doesn't have anyone, right? And he feels like he's alone, and he is retreating into the past. I don't think it's a strong decision. It's not a brave decision to stay in the past. It was a cowardly decision.
Yeah. He was doing it not because it was for knowledge. He was doing it because he, like you said, like he thought he had nothing left. And Helena reminded him, like, no, you do have something left. I want you there. Like, there are people that want you there, and you can't just decide you want to die here, because it's more selfish to do that, when like instead of like going back and just continuing to live your life and move forward, it's cowardly and selfish to go back.
It really I agree. I'm glad that the way that they did it, I was very happy with, but I just, like, in that moment when I saw that guy in the coffin and I saw that watch, I was like, oh my gosh, this is how it dies. This is how he died. And then, like, first of all, he was shot in the side, and that me working in the hospital, I was like, he was alive for way too long with being shot there.
Or he could have missed something. They could have missed the
organ. It's fine.
Yeah, they could have just missed the ones that could have potentially discontinued his subscription prematurely. Like,
to Life magazine.
It's a Life.
I'm thinking about the Indiana Jones franchise as a whole, and I'm thinking about how he is a man never in, like, looking towards the future. Like, he's always looking towards the past. He can't build meaningful connections. Like, everybody that he comes across in his movies are all people that he's met previously. And like Marion and him fail until Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like, and those are still people from the past, and he can't move towards the future And I think like seeing Dial of Destiny as a like thing where, sure, when you plan towards the future, like there are great things, but then yeah, there are also sucky things and things that you have to get over. And like you can't just retreat to the past and be just like an old man not learning new things. He was stuck on Syracuse, right? Like that was like his lesson. And if you notice, like his kid, the students used to love him. Some used to be in love with him, but now people hate him. His students don't like him. He's boring.
He's just he's going over the same old stuff over and over and over again instead of like adapting to a new age.
Right. And that was seen, like that was shown with his neighbors, and it was like, watch the news, it's Moon Day. Like he's like, Moon Day, what does that mean? You know, it's just kind of,
there's nothing. I
can't really understand why like a new age of people would. I'm sorry.
He said there's nothing to do on the moon, right? Who said that?
That was
him, I think.
He said going to the moon is like something. There's nothing there.
He's saying it in the bar to Helena, and then Helena's like, "Oh, you don't remember me. You don't know who I am." It was about that time, wasn't it? That this was being. But he's like, "There's nothing there." It's like, but to be fair, though, that was the last time we went.
Yeah, and like the fact that like
you
can't
since it was not just the first time
in the 70s.
No, we circled around it. We sent rovers. People have not been on the moon.
Oh, they haven't been on it.
I don't know. Let me check that. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, they sent rovers and stuff to the moon, but people have not been on the moon since then. They had attempted and they failed because you know how I remember that for a fact. Transformers and what's his name? Patrick Swayze? No, what's his name? The guy
Patrick
Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey's character is like, you know why we haven't been back to the moon since 1969? And they try to say the Autobots were there.
Yeah.
But
turns out we have been to the moon, but we stopped going. There have been no soft landings since 1976, but there were six crewed U.S. landings between 1969 and 1972, and numerous uncrewed landings. But we have been to the moon after Apollo 11. Apollo 13 didn't reach it. That's the movie.
Right.
That's the movie.
But there are other times. But we don't generally go to the moon back and forth a lot.
Yeah, aren't they doing another manned mission soon?
I think so, but
the Blue Origins is doing it. Yeah, I know that because my friend is actually working on that. So it's
wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Don't ask me what else. I have no clue. I just know that he's working
classified.
I think I think there's a couple layers to this movie. Just it's like Indiana Jones not wanting to like it's the Indiana Jones part. It's the Harrison Ford like meta commentary of like is he moving forward? He just keeps getting drawn back into this type of thing. There's a lot going on.
I want to say what I did like from the some of the humor inside the Indiana Jones was always it was there in this movie. Like for instance, like everyone pulling out a gun, and you know he's pulled out gun on people, and this time he had all the guns pointed towards him. So I thought that was a little funny, but it's just like that old like movie humor, like that generation, how much they hated the Nazi. I mean, of course, everyone does. Who doesn't?
Yeah, I would freaking hope so.
Yes,
I would really hope so.
But it's just that generation, how much they hated the German people, just in general. And then like they was like, oh, you're German, so it's just like that kind of like funny nod to that generation too. Like everything, like if they were German, they were immediately bad or evil. And I mean, obviously they weren't in the movie, but it's just kind of like, to me, I was just like, I kind of had to laugh because it reminded me of my grandfather who was just like, oh, those Germans. So it's like, Grandpa, they're not, like, they're gone. The Nazis are gone. They're all German people are bad now. It's okay. It's okay. But you can't tell him anything because he's Polish. For instance, he's Polish, so he...
Gotcha. I was about to say, I'm like, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, he's Polish, so he's just like, Russians and Germans are not his forte right now.
It was also a commentary how the problem with the U.S. government is while at the end of World War II, Germany disavowed Nazism, disavowed all that. You to this day you can't fly the Nazi flag. You can't. There's no freedom of speech when it comes to Nazism, which personally I think should be the way here. But
it really should.
But we can't because we hired so many Nazis. The American
And you
government
saw that movie, and I was like, I love that.
They changed their names, but they worked on basically, you know, Russia and America had the space race, and between the Nazis that I guess weren't publicly executed, the ones that weren't got divvied up. You know,
and
Russia recruited them like they were playing pro ball, you know?
Yeah.
Russia
and they also like, because it's also horrible too, because a lot of them that were quote unquote doctors, they were not doctors, they were torturing people. They went on to like give American doctors like information and the stuff that they got from the camps for medical advancements. And it was just like, oh my God, like
the notion that black people don't feel pain like white people
came
do.
from they literally like that. Also like women too, they've said that women don't feel pain the same, that like it's
a lot of wrong things. Like for instance, I want to say the most accurate stuff that came out of it was like the anatomy and everything. Like they got to do that, but for people saying, "Oh, we wouldn't have had it if it wasn't for them," I was like, "No, that's not true."
No. There are ethical ways to find out things about the human body, not experimenting and torturing.
Yeah, like, let's be clear. We would have had the same technology and everything like that without it. They just were.
It wasn't across the board. It was if you're trying to figure out female reproductive systems, it was all black women being experimented on.
Literally. Also like again, as recent as the 50s in like Puerto Rico, they literally used Puerto Rican women to test birth control. So the reason why people in the States have birth control is because my like great grandmother, her grandmothers, like they got experimented on.
Yeah,
and
same.
It's like people are still breathing that got experimented on. So
that's why my family, I don't do birth control, because same thing with my family, like my adopted family, been scared about it because of being experimented on. And this is why a lot of black women do not go to the doctors for that exact same reason, because they do not trust it, because all this experimentation. But seeing that played like in the movies, in the sense of, sorry, I hear fireworks outside my house right now. Forget it's 4th of July weekend, so it's just like
yeah,
it's like PTSD is like, what is going on?
And it's Florida, so
yeah, exactly. There's no law here. But basically, like, just seeing that inside, and coming back to Indiana Jones, where we see the FBI agent, who is a black woman, who is like knowing that these are the Nazis, and like that you got them scared, and like she's helping them. It's just like the hypocrisy behind the American government, like,
and also them not listening to her.
You got us to the moon, so we're going to try to help you out. But now that you did this, like for instance, I wasn't crazy about that chase scene, but they exposed themselves. They were like, okay, let's back up. Yeah. You have too much control.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they killed the two people, at least the two people in the college, in the university, right? Like they just kill them square out. And it did kind of suck that like that agent, her name is Mason,
that she died too.
She died. Right. She was the first essentially named character, right? She's not a main character, but she was the first named one to die too. So that kind of sucked.
It was I do have a question about that, because they framed him for the murder, but when he got back, how the charges get dropped, because he was still a suspect for those two people who got killed. That's why he ran. So he went back in time. Who cleared it up? Because like the lady who would have cleared them up, she died.
Was Helena the one who said she said something that like incriminated
somebody else?
Indiana?
Was I crying that much?
I don't know. You're right. I don't know how that kind of got fixed.
Yeah, now that I think about it, did it get fixed?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, so did he go back in time just for him to be put back in jail? Like,
I'm assuming it just got fixed. It just got brushed over. It is what it is. Like, okay.
it's a plot hole.
We'll fix it in post.
There is something that I think has been interesting from the get-go, from the first Indiana Jones movie. And this happens a lot, but Jonathan Rhys-Davies, he is a well-known actor. He's a Welsh actor. He played Gimli. I believe he played Gimli in Lord of the... Yeah, he played Gimli in Lord of the Rings. He's a tall... He's just a tall, big guy. He plays Sala in Indiana Jones. And this is something that I've been seeing since, like, the first Indiana Jones movie. And, like, it's a little bit different when you're young and when you're a kid. And, like, back then, they cast a lot of white actors. Because the guy is Welsh. He just can grow a dark beard. That's really what it is. He is Welsh, and he has been Sala this whole way through. Which, maybe, okay, in the past, they did that, and it was wrong then, and whatever. But I just thought it was weird that, like, you bring them back, but you give them kids or grandkids that are clearly brown. Like, that are brown actors as his kids or grandkids. But he is a white man, a Welsh man, playing Sala, an Egyptian. But then they cast correctly for the kids. I don't know. It was just weird to me. And it still continues to be weird.
Yes, it is. I will have to say it is. Obviously in the original, they would have connected an actual Egyptian actor. Because Egyptians, I am North African, Morocco, and they are very much mixed. That you get them of all shapes and colors. Yeah. So someone could actually be that light skin and be Egyptian. So it's kind of like that. But the fact that he wasn't is a little bit of a problem in that time. But it was that, I will say it was a different era, so that they all did that. But I did like bringing him back because I love the actor. I love him so much.
I agree.
I do love him in that sense. I'm just like, okay. I do like that his wife was clearly like more Middle Eastern, and then like his kids, they cast that because it's like, okay, he can be playing like maybe like a Greek descent, because like a lot of Egyptians have like
Greek ancestry.
Yes, the Mediterranean is very mixed. The guy is from Wales.
Yes, he is Welsh. But I love to say that I have to go against, like, sometimes that happens, like, especially like with the new Netflix Cleopatra. And they cast she's British and she is black. She's West African descent to play Cleopatra. And Cleopatra was not.
She's Ptolemy. She was Greek.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's not. There is another. She could have played any other Egyptian, like Pharaoh, queen, like oh shoot,
Nubia.
She could have played Nefertiti.
And also what's her name? She was her name began with an H.
Oh, you're thinking H. Okay. I know. I can't remember. It's like.
Oh yeah, Nefertiti. Yeah.
Yeah, Nefertiti. She could have played. Is a strong, powerful.
People
Pharaoh.
were up in arms, but those same people don't have the same energy for when it's the other way around. That's the funny part.
That's the issue. Oh, Hatshepsut.
Yeah.
I just butchered that, but yeah, Hatshepsut. Yeah, that was her name. Queen Hatshepsut. But that's I really probably did not say that right. But yeah, I will agree, Dimithri, that a lot of people do not have the same energy when it's like the other way around, where they're like, oh, whitewashing is okay, but like you can't switch the race of another. They do it to real life people. They have had like I had this conversation the other day. They had Angelina Jolie play like an Afro-Latina like Asian woman in a movie back in like 2008.
Yeah.
And Angelina Jolie is white. Like,
I
she's
mean,
a white woman.
it keeps happening. Argo is based around a man, Agent Mendez, played by Ben Affleck. He's a Mexican man. He is a Mexican man in real life.
Yeah. What movie did I see recently that like Matt Damon was in? It came out a couple of years ago, but it's like he was like on Earth and Earth was all messed up. Diego Luna is also in it, and like do you know what a movie I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
when they have like
rich
and he
people live in
turns
the sky.
The rich people live in the sky,
yeah,
and that character
Elysium.
Elysium. When I saw that like movie and I saw the flashbacks and the little kid was like speaking Spanish, and I was like, are they trying to tell me that Matt Damon is a Hispanic man? Because like there are white Hispanics, but Matt Damon is not Hispanic, and I was like, that is not a Hispanic man at all. Like, because I come up from a family that's like many different colors. Like my dad and my mom look very different. Sorry, Eclipse is just in the frame now. You have my dog here. Hello, Eclipse, say hi. But like I have parents that are like on very different ends of the spectrum as far as color feature wise. And same thing with my grandparents. They're all Puerto Rican, but they all look very different. But I was just like, you see, that would be okay if you were Hispanic, but you are a white guy, like a white guy. So like it was, I was like, what?
Well, would you have think about Fast and Furious when they cast Dom, who was like, first of all, that the fact that they made John Cena and Vin Diesel.
I'm so confused.
so confused.
Yeah, Fast and Furious does it real weird because Vin Diesel in real life is mixed, but nobody knows with what because he didn't know his birth father. But like they have him, John Cena being brothers, plus
and then
Jordana
Brewster
as like their
as
three
a sister.
Siblings. Yeah,
they're all siblings, and then his kid is what got me because I was like, whose brown baby is that?
He's darker than him, and his mother is like blonde hair, white. Like I get that she's supposed to be like Brazilian, but Brazilian people
are the like very much like Puerto Ricans. They come in every different shade. So you can very well have like a blonde haired, blue eye. One of my great grandparents, blonde hair, blue eyed, 6'1" white man, but he was Hispanic. Like, so I'm just like, but I was like, so if 2 + 2 is 4 and 5 + 5 is 10, then what the hell is this? Because I'm looking around and I'm like, your brother is John Cena and your sister is Jordana Brewster. Where did this brown ass baby come from? Where did it come from?
It was a lot. I was just like, the connections, like you're going to, like, that's probably like the most unbelievable thing. Actually, there's a lot of unbelievable things in Fast and Furious, but the fact that they tried to convince us that they were brothers off Indiana Jones subject, but that was crazy.
Well, like, I know that things can skip a generation, but I also seen his mom. Where did that child come from? What is going on? Where did those genes come from? Because dark genes are pretty dominant. Like, they're like 9 times out of 10, if one of y'all's parents is a dark person with dark features, your kid is gonna be a dark person with dark features. Like, that's just how it works. But like, sometimes it's different. Sometimes you get variations.
I will have to I can forgive the child. I just can't forgive John and Diesel being brothers, because if you look at Vin Diesel's children, his wife is also very light. I don't know if I don't think she's mixed. I thought she was white. I could be completely wrong.
But people can be mixed and be like white presenting.
Yes.
And like, but things can pop up.
But Vin Diesel's children are darker than his wife.
And also, if he's mixed too, like if Vin Diesel is mixed and if his wife is mixed, they can get the recessive genes like that way, and they can pop up a different color. Which, like, I've had siblings do that, where like, not siblings, cousins do that, where like their parents are pretty like dark in complexion, and for some reason they just come out pale. They're just pale, and then the same thing happens to both of their parents are pale, but one of their parents was darker, and they come out dark. Like, that can happen, but also like, in this family in particular, where did it come from? Where is it from? Because John Cena is also a whole white man. So
Ooh,
where
yeah.
is this coming from?
They tried to brush it off in the Fast and Furious movies with Charlize Theron character being like, oh, you guys are very mixed family, but the Nordic genes are strong in you, to John Cena. I don't know. It's weird. Bringing it back to Indiana Jones, I like Sala. He needs to exist. It's just weird that it is a product of the era. And it's also weird that back in the original, let's just say original 3 movies, like they cast very accurately when the brown man is evil.
Yep.
Like Temple of Doom, all those guys are clear. They're not white actors pretending to be brown. They are just brown actors being evil, doing their evil brown stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's very common.
You know, it doesn't work both ways, but I did like seeing Sala because I do like Jonathan Rhys-Davies. Not to be confused with Jonathan Rhys Meyers,
which is the guy that played like King Henry VIII.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. You know, he's staying in his lane. King Henry VIII. He's, you know, he knows where he's from. He knows where he's from. Also, another Welsh actor who also plays Latina is Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I did not know that she wasn't Latina until literally like last year.
She is completely Welsh. It's just the Zeta. Like, it's the Zeta part that people are like, oh yeah.
That's what got me. Like, I literally my entire life came crashing down when like literally like 2 years ago I was like, she's what?
Yeah.
She's not Hispanic. Sorry, my dog decided they wanted to play right now. But I was just like, she's from where? Like, she's not just a white woman. She's the white woman. Like, she's Welsh. Yeah. What? Like, where?
Yeah.
What? So yeah, I was like, okay. And then also finding out Antonio Banderas, that he's Spaniard, not Hispanic.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about him real quick.
He's also in this movie.
He's in this movie. He doesn't do anything.
And then he dies. Sorry. No, but
I was like, why even add him in it? If he, but then I was like,
to get a boat.
To the scuba dive, just the scuba thing, right?
The scuba.
A nice cameo I get in it because I haven't seen him in anything in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm just like, why introduce this character if you're just going to kill him off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did laugh when they said there's eels down there because I saw the joke coming. I was like,
the snake.
Eels are snakes of the sea kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Why it have to be eel? Yeah, and then they attacked him. I like that though.
That poor man. He cannot catch a break. Like, he really.
I would have to say, I did find it a little. I got sick to my stomach seeing the skeletons down there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Down in the boat, I was just like, because, I mean, I don't know, would they still be there? Because it wasn't like that was ancient times. So I was just like, would they have been like rotted away by then underneath the sea? Like, was that necessary? But I mean, it did make me sick. I was like sitting there, I was just like, oh, that's a little too much for me. But
yeah, I'm afraid of deep ocean. So like all of that with like and then their lines got cut, and then the one guy just kind of fell, right? He was just like, and he like died.
Yeah.
Because 4 guys went down and 3 came up.
You're right, it did.
When the first guy, he gets his line cut, he's just like, whoa.
And I'm like, swim.
I don't know how they do it. Are they able to swim? Or do they have to be hoisted up?
Am I stupid?
No,
okay,
they can't.
Go off
That's the thing.
No.
They get hoisted up.
Oh.
Yeah. That's like the pressure and stuff of it. They can't get up fast.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Air was there because it was like air going down to them. It wasn't just lines, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's an air line and a hoisting line. It's 2 lines.
And that's why, like, because like they were cutting that, and that's why he hit Helena's air thing so that she would have went up faster. Which also I'm really surprised it didn't like mess her up because like how fast
you would get the bends, like you would
bends,
like, like you would get like you at the very least pass out.
Yeah, because they were so deep down. Oh wow, sorry, just got a flashback of another what just happened recently. So it's just like
yeah.
So
I saw it before that whole thing, so like I can't
Oh.
imagine people going to see the movie then and after like everything happened, and I'm just like, oh, I did not have that knowledge when I saw it, so I was fine.
Yeah.
I did think about that in the movie, but at the same time, I'm just like, I was like, it's more so like I was more like I can see the. I didn't. They had to.
Somebody's getting cut off because there's sound in the background of somebody.
Oh no. My dog is deciding that she wants to have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. They're deciding they want to play right now.
I do have to. I really. And I don't know whether I touched on it. I do have to give credit to Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I thought she was the whole movie for me. Like she did a really good job. Maybe it's a little bit of Fleabag that because I've seen both seasons of Fleabag. Whenever she sees a guy, she's always like, ooh, like she's just. I love that about her character. She's just like, oh. Like I was expecting her to turn to the camera like she does in Fleabag, and like say something and then turn back, but she didn't.
It's probably because like it's just you're so used to that character where it's like it's a different environment now, so it's like, yeah.
Did you know that she played L337? She was the motion person for L337 in Solo.
Really?
I thought she did the voice too. Did she not?
She did the voice. Yeah, she did the voice, and I think she was in the suit too.
Like, oh wow! I need to go back and watch that because like I love the fact that like they're both in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, let's make this one take it another step further because that was about Solo. And,
it was about Solo, and it was like my hair's on fire.
Yeah, L3 becomes the Falcon. It's a navigation, and she gets in when she like dies and everything. She's uploaded into the Falcon. And that's why the Falcon is like such an awesome ship because it's basically almost like a living being, like it's like a droid. So that's Han Solo ship. And that Harrison Ford drive. So there we go. There's that connection again. So
also Mads Mikkelsen's in Rogue One.
He is. He plays Jin's dad.
Galen Erso.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, oh my god. I love when things like crossover. Like I think it's like a cute little Easter egg.
Might also be in something too. Toby Jones.
Yeah, he's in Marvels. He is
Arnim Zola.
Yes, from he's another like Nazi Hydra doctor from Captain again in Winter Soldier. Is that right? Or like was he?
He's in the first movie, and then he does pop up in Winter Soldier because he uploads his brain to that like system.
The computer. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to do all that. Also, director James Mangold. James Mangold did a couple of movies back in he's done a bunch of movies. But he did Kate and Leopold with Hugh Jackman. And then he does The Wolverine with Hugh Jackman. And then he does Logan with Hugh Jackman. It's the same director for this movie as the director for Logan. Both of them dealing with old heroes past their prime.
That's true. And I really like Logan too. That was a really good movie.
Yeah. As we close up this episode, I want to know, what are your thoughts about where this franchise goes from here? Do we get another Indiana Jones movie? Should we get another Indiana Jones movie? If not, where does it go? Do you just close the door and this IP is over? Mariah, you know.
Yeah, I have to say yes because like Harrison Ford said it, Indiana Jones when he dies. So it's like we got it. There's something that you just don't retouch again, like remake, and I don't want to see them remake Indiana Jones, and I don't want to see them remake Lord of the Rings. Don't do it.
Okay.
I wish
maybe no, they kill the son. They kill the son, so they can't go off. They can't make a young indie series. I'm sorry. Maybe
I have an idea, but you know,
if passed it and did a younger Indiana Jones, like maybe in his teenage days, his first exploring, and
did they do that?
They did that with that show.
They did, didn't they? They did. That's what the young indie. Maybe if they redid that, I'd be. I would be okay with it, but I don't want to see them. I don't want to see someone else take on Indiana Jones. I'll be honest. Like maybe like Kentucky Jones. I don't know.
Kentucky Jones.
We call the cat Kentucky. What?
The cat. Oh my god.
So like, what do you do? Like, there's one Indiana Jones, and like you can't like. Even if someone else took on the mantle and took on the hat and the explorations, it can't be Indiana Jones.
No.
So,
yeah.
Like, I feel like one way they could do it, and again, it's like a Lucasfilm thing where it's like instead of High Eclipse, it's High Nova. Sorry, they just wanted to come in for the final countdown. But I know. It's like having children, but they're dogs. While I wish that Hollywood would leave well enough alone sometimes, I know for a fact that's not how it works. And I think one cool thing that could happen is that instead of like remaking stuff or like putting on the same story over and over and over again, maybe it can be stories within the Indiana Jones universe. Like following different people within the universe, following like kind of like how The Mandalorian is, where it's like it's Star Wars, but it's just some guy and his weird baby, or like you have the Ahsoka series coming up where it's following a different character, and it's just like where like, it kind of it branches off so that you get like different things within the main timeline universe. And yeah, maybe you have a cameo or two, maybe you have some things that cross over, but like it'll follow a completely new person that's not like attached to the canon in some way, where you would have to go along with like Harrison Ford's character and whoever came before and like all that stuff, where it's like, or even like a weird out of the pocket like idea, like an anthology series of like different people like within the universe doing different things, where it's just like you don't have to get married to like one thing and make that a huge franchise. You can just be like, oh, this is what's like basically the guy of the week or like the girl of the week, you know, or something like that, where it's like that universe can still exist and those characters can still exist in the history of that universe, but it's not continuing the same story over and over and over again.
Yeah. I had an idea, and that would bring back Short Round. His name is well, I mean, actor Ke Huy Quan just won an Oscar. Sign him up for these type of movies. Have Short Round come back. His given name is Juan Lee. I didn't know that, but I found that out recently. But team him up with Helena Shaw. Throw in Benny, because like Benny's a cool kid. I want to explore Benny a little bit more. He's just a pickpocket kid. Like throw in a couple other characters and call it Raiders.
Just Raiders. That's it.
You can call it Raiders of something else, but have there be a team called Raiders.
Yeah, it could be like Indiana Jones Presents.
Yeah. Or it's like how it was Star Wars Rogue One, like something like that, where it's just like the like that part. So like that'd be kind of cool, because like honestly, like over and over and over again, like kind of refresh it for the old and new. Yeah.
Again, Ke Huy Quan needs more roles. He's very talented. He's underutilized. I'm still upset for him, even though he seems very like he loves Harrison Ford, he loves Spielberg and Lucas and whatnot. I feel like they let him down. I think they He talks about how he didn't have any roles whatsoever. I think like actors get other actors' roles all the time.
They do. They really do. And like it's always like a friend of a friend, or my buddy's making this, or like something like that. And it's kind of two edges of this, like a different issue. Because like one, it happens with child actors a lot when you have fame at a young age and you're kind of known for being small and cute and this kind of character and doing this kind of thing, where it's difficult to transition over, and a lot of people don't want you to transition over because they want to remember you as the cute kid in that one movie. And then B, the fact that he's an Asian man, and like there obviously discrimination and racism within Hollywood for multiple groups. Basically, if you're not a straight white guy, you're kind of fucked. You kind of have to like scrap, and you kind of have to grab for your own, because even if somebody is your friend, even if somebody is cool with you, like, they're not going to look out for you the same way they're going to look after the guy that's like them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to always pick the safe option over you. And that's the part that kind of sucks, because I'm like, oh, you got it on both edges. Like, not only were you an Asian actor, but you were a child actor as well. So you got basically two like hard hits on trying to move forward in a career in which a lot of people will not try to have you move forward at all. And like, that sucks. I just saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I'm like, this man is amazing. What the fuck? Like, why hasn't he been in more stuff?
Right?
Multiple roles, like multiple versions of the same guy, and every single version of him evoked such different feelings. And I'm like, and y'all were sleeping on him. Why? For who? Like, over what? Like, and it sucks because, like, I always say this, I'm like, the best person of color doing something will still get treated worse than the worst white person in the industry. You could be a baseline, bottom of the barrel white dude, and you'll still get roles over the most talented guy in the world if he's not a white guy, or if is the most talented woman in the world. Like, we'll see, like, even in awards where if things get nominated for an Oscar, or somebody gets nominated for an Oscar, you'll get nominated, but you probably won't win if a white woman's up there. Like, that's just how it works.
I'm sorry, so, Angela Bassett should have won Best.
Listen, I believe either like, her or I'm like, and they're giving her an honorary Oscar, and I'm like, what?
It makes me so mad.
Like, yeah.
I think that makes it even more mad, because it's like, oh, we messed up, so
here's your consolation prize, and I'm like,
I do not like that. I would have just let her. I don't know. That made me mad. I don't know. Maybe Angela Bassett feels different. Maybe she's happy, but
I don't know, man. It's because I've personally been through stuff where it's like, it would have been better if you just didn't acknowledge me at all. But then when you do, and it's like this, it's disrespectful. Like, I've had moments like that very recently where I'm just like, it's almost worse that you acknowledge me, because now you're making it look like, oh, I know I messed up, but like, sweep it under the rug. It's fine. And it's, so I feel that. And I do think that he deserves better. And I do think he deserves to have his time in the spotlight. Because there are a lot of people that do, and it sucks.
Yeah. I'm fine with no more Indiana Jones, but you can live in that universe. There are characters I would love to see.
Yeah.
But I would like for him to hang his hat up.
Yeah.
Focus on other things.
And I think there's a time to do that too, where it's like, again, like, you've been playing this character for over 40 years, and it's like, at this point, like, do I think that having a long-standing career is a great feat? Yes. Do I think that having a long-standing franchise is like impressive? Absolutely. But when you have the same people doing the same thing over and over, it makes it hard for anything new to come up, which is kind of like one of the things in the movie where it's like, you can go back to the past, you can stay in the past, or you can celebrate the moon landing. Like, you could, and I think where it's just like, we're at a time where, like, I think everyone should know, like, their limit, and when it is time to let the next generation pick up the hat, and when it's time to let another story be told. Because if we tell the same stories over and over and over again, not only are they going to get old, but we're never going to get anybody else's perspective. We're never going to get anybody else's experience. We're never going to get anything fleshed out, because we're telling the same story with the same guy constantly. And we don't need to do that. Like, there's so many more stories to be told. There's so many more characters to be had. And I think not only is it stale, but it's also like kind of wrong to like continue to pioneer the same person that hasn't had a problem staying on top for a very long time, you know?
Yeah. Also, I'm afraid of what's next. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was space. This one was time. It's the multiverse next, and I do not want to see 10 Indiana Jones teaming up with each other. Like, because you know Chris Pratt's just going to be one of them, you know? You just know.
Why would you say that?
I'm telling you that's the way Hollywood is going to do it.
Why would you put that out into the universe?
Multiversal Indiana Jones, Chris Pratt is going to be one of them, you know? Like, we don't need this. Just that's my problem with Act 3. It wasn't grounded enough.
That would be Kentucky. No, it would probably be Texas.
Texas Jones.
Texas Jones sounds like a steakhouse.
Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah. You know?
Oh my God. Not variants.
That's what they're going to do.
I can't.
So be careful, you know?
Texas Williams. Wait, wasn't that I feel like that was a musician. Like
it's like Hannah Montana.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like, there we go. That's his name. That would be Chris Pratt's character.
Oh my God. It's like the 50 Shades of Hannah Montana. The Hannah Montana multiverse.
Oh no. The Montanaverse. Oh no.
The Montanaverse. The Montanaverse. Oh my God.
Hannahverse, Montanaverse. Oh no. We're asking for too much. We're flying too close to the sun. Please.
No. See, look, it was already absurd at time travel. I can't do this.
You know. They're gonna how do they keep going, you know?
Listen, okay, I will say this, and then obviously, like, I know we got we are past time.
Yeah.
But like the one thing about this movie that is impressive to me, I normally hate time travel. Yeah. Even though I like movies I like movies like Back to the Future. I liked Endgame. Okay, I like things with time travel in them, but as a concept as a whole, and as like in other things where it's even in things that I like, I don't like time travel. I don't like it because 9 times out of 10, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. The rules are never consistent and I don't like it. So if I like a movie with time travel in it, it's a good movie. It's a good movie because 9 times out of 10, I will pass on it because I'm good. Like,
watch Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell is time travel doing in Harry Potter with the time bird? What is that? What is that doing there?
How does it not work? I like everything. I like that version. I like that. But we're gonna get.
I'll think too hard. Yeah. I'll think too hard, and then I'll get mad.
We will. We gotta put a pin in that one right now. I want to thank you both so much for taking time out of your day to come on the show and talk about Indiana Jones and everything that has to do with Indiana Jones. Before we get going, though, I want to know where we can find you. What do you got coming up? Anything that you want to plug? Amanda, if you want to go first.
So yeah, my name is Amanda Castrillo, aka Amanda Just Vibin', across all platforms except for YouTube, where I am just Amanda Castrillo, and talk about media commentary, comedy. I normally do things like my yassification, in which I just kind of post red carpet looks and stuff, and I like to talk about media, and I like to rant about things, and much like we are doing right now, I will just talk, and I'll probably get mad at something. So yeah.
That's fair. Mariah, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Well, you can find me over there. I do my fashion and I do my geek style and just building confidence. And I do have some campaigns coming up very soon. And hopefully you guys can come see me at San Diego Comic-Con because I will be there. In the outskirts, I will be there. So
I'll be there.
I'm excited. I'm very... But yes, geek fashion. I do my Avengers workouts on TikTok when I remember to post. But yeah, that's all I have going on for me.
Awesome. Both of you do amazing work, both, on TikTok and Instagram, and whenever I have you on these podcasts. So thank you so much for coming on this.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Yes. Fun. Do it again.
Yeah. For everyone out there who is watching us live, you're watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. I wanted to shout out T3 Media Studios. Sorry we couldn't get to your comments, but T3, thank you so much for being a fan and an amazing content creator in and of yourself. If you were listening to us on the podcast, it was wherever you get your podcast from: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. If you want to find us on social media, Instagram and TikTok are our two biggest ones, at The Keeg Show. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, for as long as Twitter is, at The Keeg Show /The Keeg Show, wherever. We're all over the place, so find us. Instagram and TikTok are still our two biggest platforms. If you want to give back to the show, patreon.com/thekeegshow. If you want to find a donation tier that works for you, you just subscribe to that for something as low as $5 a month if you want to give back to the Keeg. We don't just only do the Keeg Talks, which is this show right now, where we talk about a different geek topic every geek week. But we also do Comic Talk every Thursdays. And we do the Secret Invasion after show every Wednesday nights, as long as Secret Invasion is going on. So we do a lot of shows. So definitely find us on Instagram and TikTok to find out those show schedules. Other than that, that's pretty much the gist of things. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Thank you to everybody out there for watching and or listening. Once again, I am your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been the Keeg Talks, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Super strong or super fast. Gotta beat the boss and get the loot, 'cause it's the King.